Hello, dear ones. Welcome to Gold Light Dark Sky. I am a psychic medium, empath, and light and shadow worker. I use my clairvoyance to channel messages that often come through in metaphorical and symbolic narratives, but they can be literal as well. I am a spiritual alchemist. I transmute the darkness into light. I trigger people to face their shadow. I've spent my entire life in spiritual warfare with dark energies, including narcissists and psychopaths. Through my healing journey, I've uncovered a psychic healing modality I call Re-envisioning Bifurcation to help those heal the psychic spiritual trauma that results from these entanglements. These collective readings are meant to be of support and guidance for lightworkers, empaths, angelics, and starseeds that are in need of connection, resilience, and hope to work through the soul test that we never fathomed we would have to endure. It is all for great purpose, though. To spiritually awaken to the true nature of our missions, to collectively expand and shift the consciousness, to reconnect with the core of our being, and to love, heal, and create as we strive towards this fulfillment. May these channeled messages be of guidance to you on your awakening path, and please remember to use your discernment. Do not force them to align. I love everyone. The first picture I'm seeing is an older man walking through the forest, and he's taking a knife and carving something into a tree. Looks like initials. The M looks like he's taking his time in order to make it really stand out. It's like if you were passing by the tree, you could see it from a great distance. He cuts his finger on the knife, and he's wiping it on his clothes, but it just keeps bleeding as he's trying to not let it distract him from what he's doing. It's really important that he carves this with great precision. He keeps cutting his fingers on the knife. Like, it's like the more he the harder he tries, the more cuts appear on his hands, and he's bleeding quite profusely, like as if he was on blood thinners or something. Like it shouldn't be bleeding this much, but they're like tiny cuts. And he starts putting the blood into the tree, into the letters, into the D, into the M. And it's like a fusion is happening here. There's like an alchemical connection happening between like this the biological or the organic part of himself. It's like the tree was asking him to sacrifice this so that it meant more to him than just this symbolic ritual. Like it had to have a deeper meaning, and there was like pain involved in these cuts. But it wasn't because he was being careless. It was because he cared so much. The tree is almost reaching out to him to like cover him, to shade him from the sun. He's feeling the stinging in his hands, but there's a connection that he has made with the wholeness of the tree. he's not wiping the blood on his pants anymore. He's embracing it. He's embracing the pain. And he's looking up at the tree. It goes on for infinity into the clouds. Like it's almost infinite to him. And it represents the love that he has for himself and for this sacrifice, for this oneness. He's adding a plus sign below the DM. He's carving EL. There starts to gather a crowd of people around him. This is like in a park. And he sees that people are witnessing this as if it was like some art being created in real time. He's looking over his shoulder, and people are seeing him bleeding, and they are seeing the tree bleeding. And there's this recognition that there's this union happening through this organic process. He's like assessing the branches and like their distance apart. And he's feeling all the people looking at him. It's causing him anxiety. This was like a kind of a sacred ritual that he was performing, and now everyone is looking at him, and he's not comfortable with this, and he starts to assess whether he can climb this tree, and he determines that he's going to climb it regardless of the difficulty, regardless of his hands hurting from the cuts, from the blood. And he decides that he's going to climb. And he starts making his way up the tree without ever considering that he would need to get down, because that was never part of the plan. His plan was always to keep going. As he moves up, the tree's limbs begin to become stronger, supporting his weight, allowing him more options to easily scale, to ascend. And this is reassurance, this is like validation that he was meant to climb this tree. He isn't afraid of the branches breaking. They're sturdy. They feel like they could support him no matter how much weight was put on him. He's not looking down. He's just only looking up. And the ground beneath him is disappeared because he's so far up now. And the branch that is extended out towards the sky, there seems to be some sort of shiny, it looks like a ring on the edge of the branch. As he reaches for it, he loses his balance and he misses the ring. And he falls. He grabs onto a thick branch as he fell for a good distance. And he pulls himself up. And he sits there with his back up against the tree, understanding that he fell. He didn't die, he didn't hit the ground, but he sat in contemplation of this yearning for this thing he couldn't reach. And he didn't even know what it was. It looked like a ring, it looked like gold, it looked like something valuable. He risked his ascension in order to take a chance. But he didn't fall into nothingness. He fell into the support of the tree that he had bonded with. And he begins to climb again. That's all I'm seeing for this picture. As a conduit, as a facilitator of the messages, it's important for me to sit with the meaning behind the messages and help. I often help my clients to go through how this resonated. For me, this message speaks to the isolation that the collective is feeling and trying to find a way to connect deeper with themselves, with Source, with God, in order to kind of transcend what is holding them back, holding us back, and this deep resonance of nature and finding God in nature, finding themselves. There's a fear of others' judgment of them, of like coming out and being who they are, seen as doing something risky or dangerous, or feeling just the judgment of others, and moving towards a path of ascension regardless. He reached a point where he was determined to reach for something maybe he wasn't ready for, or attainment of this object that may have represented, it felt like a higher state of consciousness that he wasn't quite ready for. And he reached for it and fell. And that no matter how many times he falls in his life, like that fall is going to be broken by this foundation, by this support, and that he was never going to hit the ground or go back to the beginning, and that we all have to have the resilience in order to keep climbing the tree, our perseverance in the wake of harm or tragedy or loss of balance or loss of self. Like, no matter how much we gave, like he gave his blood, he gave his life force in order to find the path upwards. And there was no ending to the tree. There was no heavenly place that he could see that he was going to. He was making the ascent for the sake of making the ascent, for his own soul level growth that was mirrored in the tree, that like the soul never stops growing, and this tree never stopped growing either. This is the message that came through today. I appreciate everyone that tuned in to watch this video, and I'd love for you to subscribe to the channel. Until next time. If you would like a personal reading, follow the links in the description to my website, where you can book a session and learn more about my practice.